welcome to Transported. It's February, it's wet, it's cold, it's grey, and we're still in lockdown. Try to do our best with the Transported to keep things going. There's obviously no heritage transport things happening, even by February standards when there's not much happening. So today we're going to look at a classic vehicle, I dare say. In this particular case not a very old one, but a vehicle which has gained a certain status. And as I come round here, and you have the pleasure of losing my face, here we are. The Range Rover. Range Rover was brought about by Land Rover deciding that their vehicles were very utilitarian, very highly thought of, but maybe something a little more luxurious for the country gentleman market might be the case. This was in the 60s. They experimented a little with the Tickford Land Rover as kind of serious Land Rover that had a degree of luxury appointed to it, that the seats are hard top and all sorts of things. It didn't really work, it didn't really take off. And if you look back at that first Land Rover, 2 doors, quite a simple interior, a lot of pretty much standard BMC stroke, British Leyland stroke, whatever it was called at the time. Quite a lot of that sort of stuff shared between the various models. But the whole thing was developed. This, I would say, was the first very, very luxury one. We went on to the P38, that was the Series 2. The P38 had more leather, had more electronics. This particular one is the L322, the Series 3 one. Very much reliant on the computer, air suspension, fully adjustable, and very much an interior. Let me just open this door, we'll have a little look. There we are, leather interior seats. As you can see, computer screen in the middle of the dashboard. I say you can see, listen to the radio, you can't see, but there is a computer screen in the middle of the dashboard that controls entertainment and so forth. In the back, you'll hear the click of the door, is the load area. It's a split tailgate, one drops down. The bottom section you can use as a seat while watching the races or whatever you take it for. It's dusty in the back of mine there. But a great big area. The back seats fall down, of course, so you've got an enormous load space in there. It's a big vehicle, but not as big as some people kind of imagine they are. If I open the back door now, you can see some things in here. We have in the middle, just move all these CDs out of the way. I should have prepared to look really smart, shouldn't I? But I didn't. We have a nice little table, which you can put various drinks in and so forth. Very handy little thing for backseat passengers. Full climate control for rear passengers as well. And shut the door. And we'll look at the driving controls. Range of controls on the door. They control the windows and also the access mode. Drop the suspension when you pull to a halt, so people can get in and out easier from the high ride height. It's best to do that every time. I do that every time for the simple reason it keeps the air flowing through the machinery. Otherwise it gets a bit of dust in it, some blocks up, and it creates all manner of trouble. Fairly straightforward dashboard in front of you, tachometer, speedometer, petrol and temperature. Controls on the steering wheel to give you a heated steering wheel. Cruise control. No, to be honest, never use cruise control. And on the other side, the controls largely control the entertainment for the CDs and so forth. And again, fairly simple. The dashboard area. There's the individual climate control for both seats and the clock in the middle, and a few other bits and pieces of demisters. In the centre console you will find the handbrake, which is just an electric handbrake, so it's just a small flap which you click in. Automatic gearbox. I think there's 12 speed. It's something enormous number of gears in it, which you don't notice. You have got sports mode as well. And over here, just behind that, the gear lever, is the device which allows you to simply change the way the car operates for whatever conditions you're in. So it's in normal mode as a rule, but you can put it to rock mode, which will allow you to clamber over rocks. It'll raise the suspension as high as possible. You can put it in snow mode for snow and ice, so that the wheels will automatically create the best grip. Sand mode. Some people tell me that using the sand mode when it's deep snow is by far the best option. Yeah, that seems reasonable to me. And you've also got high and low ratio gears as well. Let's just pop the bonnet. If I go down there, click that. We'll talk about the engine. Here we go. Coming round. Find the little switchy thing. There we are. The bonnet is held up with hydraulics. Can't see much in the engine. It's covered up by a sound deadening plastic thing telling you it's a V8, and it's a 3.6 V8 diesel turbo. Lots of gubbins in there. I mean, even as somebody who knows little of cars, it's a very confusing bunch of stuff in here, to be honest. But there you go. That's the engine. And shut that down. And I think time now. Let's have a drive. So here we are. We're in the passenger seat. Well, you are. And off we go. Start her up. You can hear the automatic climate control come in there. You set to automatic. It simply takes everything to the height which you require. Turn the radio off, obviously. And away we go. As you can hear, this is not by any means a noisy car. As we drive along, you'll find that sound from a huge 3.6 diesel engine is virtually non-existent. It purrs along as though it was running by air. There's a little bleep that tells you that it's going into reversing mode. There's a reversing camera comes up on the screen, so you can see behind you, and out we come. Incidentally, we're at the village of Beeford, where we own a business, my partner and I. Hence, for those of you thinking, what's he doing out and about during lockdown? That's the reason. We're here officially within the rules of lockdown. And this is the road we're going to go onto, is the A165. We're going to go up and get some fuel at the local garage, so that will give us a bit of an indication how we go. So out of the village of Beeford onto the 165. Automatic windscreen wipers. When the screen gets some moisture onto it, it automatically fires it off in the 30-mile-an-hour zone. As we come out of the 30-mile-an-hour zone, we'll hopefully show you the levels of acceleration. I've had many cars, many sports cars in the past, mostly MGs. And I think the only thing which matches this in high acceleration was a Sunbeam Tiger that I drove once. But this is a big vehicle, a Sunbeam Tiger, small sports car. This is a big vehicle. And there is a term which involves shovels, which I can't do. As you can see, we're going to the, well, you can't see, but as you can tell, we're in the outside zone, and there we go, we're off. And that's it, we're up to 60 in that short time as we accelerate away. I won't maintain that speed, it's quite the road isn't great. So, 50, roads are obviously quiet during lockdown. Power steering gives you very going that far today, but this road skirts the edges of Beverley before going into Hull itself. In terms of other transport interest around here, just up to the right to where we are now is the village of North Frodingham, quite a large village. That you will find, if you look at those big tile maps created by the North Eastern Railway, which you can see at York Station and various other locations. I think Scarborough might have got one as well, but they show the North Frodingham branch. Now the interesting thing is, that line was never built. It was proposed, figures are going to go ahead, but then the North Eastern had second thoughts and decided just to run a bus service to North Frodingham under their auspices, and so it never got a line even though it appears on maps. The other line in this general area, way across further to the right there, is the Driffield to Hull line. That's a good few miles over to the right of the direction we're driving, and then at some point further along, again we won't see it, is the branch from Hull to Hornsey. So in those terms, a number of railways were in this area, but only one now operational. Lots of interesting names around here. Keeling, for example, is one. But my favourite is if you're driving down to Goole to join the motorway system or to head south through Lincolnshire to Newark and so forth, where you pass the village of the Land of Nod. Now, isn't that beautiful? You think Land of Nod is something people make up as a euphemism for sleeping, but no, that's quite how it works. Now, as I say, we're going along beautifully. The temperature is set high, so I say it's February, wet and cold, and so we're doing a really nice job keeping our feet warm. However, having said that, this is 3.6 V8 diesel, and it takes a long while to get that heat built up in it when you set off. So there are contingencies. I've never used this either, but there is within the car, in the controls, you can set a pre-warmer. So say you go to work at 7:30 every morning, you can set the car to turn the heating on at 7 o'clock so the cabin is warm when you get in. It works off the diesel preheater rather than the normal systems that heaters work on. I've never used it because I don't use it around to set time or anything, but it's just one of those neat little things. And there's many other things that you think, oh, dear me, what a bit of poshness that we don't need. Hey, but I tell you what, the heated seats and the heated steering wheel are just absolutely wonderful. While the heater's warming up, you've got a warm back and a warm bum, and and your hands are toasty on the heated steering wheel. So, what I once did, I love them toasty now. There's of course a built-in sat-nav on this vehicle. Quite efficient, works on the DVD, so you don't have that problem having to plug things into update from the internet and one thing and another. You simply buy a new DVD and stick it in. I think the later ones are hard to stay. We're now on the Series 4 of Range Rover, and there's a bigger range. We're talking about the history of the vehicle. Well, the L322 is the Vogue. Yes, named after the fashionable magazine is the Vogue. And let's get ourselves off this roundabout carefully. And it was the only Range Rover model. It was a Range Rover, then it was a Range Rover Vogue, and that name has persisted. But I suppose what you would say is the top of the range. There are even flasher versions of the top of the range Vogue, but nonetheless, it's still quite clearly a very luxurious vehicle. I bought this second hand, and people say, oh, you don't want to be buying second hand. 2 points there. Firstly, a vehicle of this standard, whoever bought it has had the money to maintain it properly. So what you end up doing, and I heard somebody else say, you're buying a £45,000 vehicle somewhere in the region of £5,000. And yes, some of the repairs can be quite pricey, but really no more than you'd expect for any vehicle of the age that you're buying a second-hand vehicle from. The only thing that's really cost me since buying this was the turbos blew, as they do after, I forget how many miles they stay for, but it's an awful lot of mileage. 150,000 miles is supposed to last. And that was £4,000, but I didn't actually calculate that was going to be no more expensive for me than if I'd traded in a non-runner and bought another vehicle, and again that might have blown its turbos anyway. So really, in terms of cost, it's not that much. The fuel consumption is obviously heavier than a small hatchback or something, but it's by no means excessively awful. On a long run, driving steadily and not just banging my foot down all the time, you'll easily get 35 to the gallon out of it, which, as I say, is not great, but it's by no means awful. Right, into the garage now, where we'll end this little report. I hope it's been of any entertainment to you. As I say, the problem is, during this lockdown period, finding what to do with transporters, but we do our best. We do our best to keep you entertained, and hopefully by the March edition of Transporters, everything will be easing its way back to normal as the vaccine rolls out. So there we are in. I shall now drop the suspension down, put her into park mode, drop the suspension, and fold in the wing mirrors. There goes the little ding, and we're down. There we go. So there we are. That's a ride in my car. That's how desperate we've got on Transporters to find you some content. As I say, hopefully by the next edition, sometime in March, things will be eased and things will be happening a little bit more. It looks like it will be the case. If not, there's a couple of things which I could drag out the bag. Firstly, looking at the Filey Holiday Cap branch, I might give that one a shot. That's within easy walking for exercise way. Till next time, from me on Transported, stay safe, keep travelling. Bye now.